Alright, we should be good. Checking my volume on the stream. Checking my things. Making sure the game works. I think we're good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Season 2 Relocated Draft. Season 2 officially starts tonight as we draft all 32 teams, all their 54 players that will be playing for the rest of the season. Who will come out in the end as the Super Bowl champion? Who knows? But I am Smiles. I am the commissioner slash commentator slash everything to do with this league. And tonight we will be doing, or at least starting, this very long draft process. Now, let me go over what exactly is happening tonight as I turn the lights out. Alright. So, what is happening tonight? Well, in Madden, there is a fantasy draft in franchise mode. This fantasy draft goes 54 rounds. And I say we, but this stream is going to cover every single round. This stream is not stopping until either the game crashes, which I sweater Bob, it better not, or when the fantasy draft ends. So this is going to be a long stream. I believe it's definitely over 24 hours. So we'll be going into the next probably night with this draft. But anyways, as you see, we don't have the relocation teams. These are the normal NFL teams. Well, you can't actually relocate teams until the draft actually starts. So that's why if you go on the Relocated series Twitter, you'll see that they have tweeted a little cheat sheet to tell you what teams are being relocated where. It's the same as every year, maybe except for Season 0, with Memphis and Brooklyn. But anyways, for the most part, it is the same as last year. Well, it definitely is the same as last year. Just look at the cheat sheet on Twitter. It's there. And as you can see, we also determine the draft order. Now, we can't manually pick the draft order for every single team, but we can manipulate it to where we can determine who gets the number 1 draft pick. And since the Austin Armadillos were the last place team in standings in Season 1, they will get the opportunity to get the number 1 draft pick. Or, well, they already have the number 1 draft pick. But they will get the opportunity to pick the best possible player out of this entire game, out of these 54 rounds. But the rest of these guys, the rest of these teams, completely random. As you can see, there are some that are a lot of deserving of the at least the top half of the first round. Like Rio, they were at least a bottom 5 team last year. Houston Oilers weren't even that great as well. Vancouver is never great. But then you get some unlucky ones, like my boys, the Dublin Shamrocks, who are in that Eagle spot. They get the 29th pick. That is very unfortunate. Even more unfortunate, Mexico City Golden Eagles, also not known as a great team. They are getting the final pick. But the 32nd pick isn't necessarily bad, because we are going in snake order. So what does that mean? If you don't know what snake order is, that means this round will have its set order, but then the next round, it will reverse. So even though Jacksonville is Mexico City, by the way, uh, just because Mexico City gets the last pick this round, they will get the first pick the next round. So this is the normal draft order as it is, and then it will reverse next round, and then it will reverse back next round, and it will keep repeating until we get to the end of the draft. And that is how we're going to do it. I believe I've covered everything. Because I kind of want to get this started right off the bat because this is going to be a while. I want to point out I will probably stop the stream after 3 rounds, but we're gonna run it. We're gonna run it back up just because I want to get the video of just doing the first 3 rounds because I feel like the first 3 rounds are the most pivotal. Like they're basically like the stars on your team. Like these are the players that you're gonna basically look up to carry you to a Super Bowl this year. Last year, the Oklahoma City Bisons, who are the relocated team of the Saints, and they're in the 28th spot right there. Last year, their picks were Jane Daniels in the first round, Marshawn Lattimore, and Madu BK. Now, those top 3, pretty damn good top 3, and it was good enough for them to get all the way to the promised land, even with a custom coach. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? I know that things are going to be different because overalls have changed over the course of the actual NFL season. So the fantasy draft order that or online could be completely different. Or they could just go based off their scheme. Whatever scheme that is, they would like to have it as a best fit. But do you do best fit over elite status players? Who knows? Who knows? I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. All right. So, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit resume draft. We only took 5 seconds off. It'll go like a minute and a half. I don't know when the time changes between rounds because right now it's going to be like a minute and a half. Then eventually it'll change to a minute at one point. It might change to like 1:15 too as well. I don't know. But then the final time will be 45 seconds per player. So then when you get to the later rounds, it will start going by fast. But yep, this draft is to determine every player on every team. Again, look at the cheat sheet in case you're confused by who's actually the relocated, but I'll be there for the first 3 to tell you who the teams are. Like the first one, the Atlanta Falcons, Austin Armadillos. All right, so once I hit resume draft, this draft will officially begin. Are you ready? Are you ready? Season 2 of Relocated officially starts right now. All right, here we go. Man, I've been waiting a lot of months to do this again. Austin Armadillos, let's talk about them before they get their first overall pick. I have a feeling I know who it is, but we'll wait until it gets revealed. But the Austin Armadillos really have not had a positive season yet, but they did make the NFC Championship the first year in Season 0. But last year, really bad. Really bad. With Trevor Lawrence, overall-wise, very much improved this year. But can the Austin Armadillos improve with this first pick? And I already have a feeling. I know who it's going to be. But we'll just have to wait out this 33 seconds. I believe it'll do the animation. Sometimes you can see the name before it even does the animation, so it's kind of anticlimactic. I think they'll do, if I remember correctly, they do walkouts for the first 10. So we will see walkouts for them. All right, but the first official pick is about to be official. Who is going to be on the Austin Armadillos? Who was the first player picked? I actually didn't see the name. Who was it? The number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is officially an Austin Armadillo. Burrow cannot escape the NFC South for the life of him. Oh, I wasted some time there, but formerly on the Orlando Orbits in Season 0, and in Season 1, he was on the Houston Oilers, and now he's the number 1 pick this year, going to the Austin Armadillos. But now we have the Rio Riverhogs, who, your Season 0 champions, but took a massive fall off last year. Who was their quarterback? Drake May, he's also heavily improved. So it'll be interesting to see where he'll get drafted. But that's not who I was expecting to get drafted first. All right, well, let's see who Rio pick as their 3rd ever QB. Who can reach the likes of Matthew Stafford? All right, we see the pick. It's who I thought was going to be number 1, but it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen, a Rio Riverhog, officially. They did improve the animations too, but Josh Allen, I will say, not necessarily riveting knowing his performance. I mean, he was on the Vancouver Lumberjacks, and the Lumberjacks were never good. Plus, last year he was on the Orbits, who, they did okay, but they could have done a lot better. But Rio get their elite quarterback, Josh Allen, at number 2. Next up is the Houston Oilers, who I believe was in this same spot last year. I thought they were the number 3 pick, and they picked Joe Burrow. It's more likely they will pick a QB, and I kind of have, if I'm looking at the quarterbacks now that have already been picked, I have a feeling I know who's going to get picked next. All right, let's see who it is. Oh, it's not who I expected. The Houston Oilers pick up Drake May. Drake May. What? I fucked that up. Anyways, a Rio Riverhog last year almost became a Riverhog again. If he would be available, would the Riverhawks pick? Who knows? Who knows? But Drake May going to the Houston Oilers, who, Drake May has definitely improved from where it was last year. I mean, last year he wasn't even a starter. But this year he was, and he brought their team to the Super Bowl. Can he do that in the simulated version? In the relocated version? Because he didn't do it last year with Rio. But next is the Portland Antlers. Portland Antlers were nothing special in the first season, but last season they took the division away at the last second with the 2 ties. But they have yet to garner any great success. So with this 4th overall pick, should be very interesting. Hopefully it's who I think it's going to be. I actually have no, honestly, I have no idea. I can't be saying anything. Oh my, it's not who I expected. Patrick Mahomes. is a Portland Antler now, officially. First season he was on the Oakland Redwoods, had tremendous success with them, but last year on the Anchorage Huskies, rather not talk about it. But it'd be interesting to see how Portland handles him. Anyways, the London Black Knights have the 5th overall pick. Barely missed playoffs last season. I mean, their offense was pretty incredible. Compared to their first season, season 0, where they actually made the divisional round, but they were a very defensive-heavy team. They mainly, and also what I've noticed is they mainly relied on a mobile quarterback. First year was Justin Fields. Then last year was Anthony Richardson. I doubt they're going with either of those two. I doubt any of these teams are going to go for those two as their starters. But who will represent the UK? Pick is in. And oh my goodness, for a 3rd straight year in a row, they are going with a mobile quarterback, but this time it's probably the best mobile quarterback, Lamar Jackson. That's actually really funny. 3 times in a row they've picked a mobile QB. That's insane. But Lamar Jackson, so Lamar Jackson has had very differing success, though, and Relocated. He led the Omaha Bulls to the playoffs, but honestly, I feel like they were the team that didn't deserve it. And also, before then, he was on the Toronto Snowbirds. Didn't really do anything there. So maybe he just needs to leave the United States and lead them to a victory. And next up, the Lumberjacks from Vancouver. I mean, there's really not much to say. They've had 2 elite QBs, so to speak, the past 2 seasons, and they've done little next to nothing. They're one of the worst franchises in the league. So they better make sure that this pick is a damn good one, because they can't afford it. Legacy-wise, they can't afford it. And oh my goodness. Well, I tell you what, they're not failing ever at picking QBs, because here comes Matthew Stafford, officially a Vancouver Lumberjack. Maybe he could take this team to hopefully a positive record. Unfortunately, I mean, he did it the first year with season 0 with the Riverhawks. But last year as Dublin, thought he was going to improve the team. Only did it by 3 wins. But Dublin's a whole nother situation. But hopefully he can bring that success to the Lumberjacks. The Thunderbirds have been pretty decent so far in Relocated as a whole. Last year, major defensive team, but so bad offensively that, I mean, I wouldn't say they were bad offensively, but it wasn't enough for their defense to really pick up the slack in some cases, in most cases, so to speak. So, with them having the 7th overall, most likely picking a QB, I'm interested to see who's not going to pick a QB. And then what's going to be their decision after that for not picking a QB, because I don't think it's worked out too well for teams that haven't. But I don't know the official stats on that. So who's going to Louisville? And oh, yes, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, officially a Louisville Thunderbird, was with the Sentinels when he made the Super Bowl in season 0. But last year he was on the Sacramento Nighthawks, and he looked to be in old form in the first half of the season. But the last half, not great. I mean, he even blew the division. They were guaranteed division winners, and he blew it. But he is offensively very good QB. So Massive get for the Thunderbirds. Next is the Omaha Bulls. Last year, they had the #1 overall pick, and they picked Lamar Jackson, and they finished with a 9-8 record. But they didn't really look impressive most games. They're especially, you know, when it came down the games that that in all honesty, they probably should have won, and they needed to win, but they shit the bed. So, Omaha, not really a successful franchise either. They did get a playoff berth, so there's nothing to slouch out about. But again, I personally believe they didn't deserve it. But let's see who they pick for the 8th overall. Omaha. And the Omaha Bulls pick up Dak Prescott. I don't know listen, he's a great QB, but I don't know if you would want him in the Relocated series. Quarterback Virginia Beach Voyagers in Season 0 got them to a playoff. They were the #2 seed, and they lost in the wild card. Then they lost to the wild card again. To who? Oh, it was the Mounties. The Montreal Mounties. I don't know. Maybe Prescott can cook in Omaha, but they might be shitting. Next up is the Paris Steamers. Paris Steamers, I would have to say, is probably the most successful organization in Relocated. They had their great season, their first season. If it wasn't for the Sentinels, they would definitely be the #1 team. They had MVP Tua that season. And last year, they looked middling, but Bo Nix carried them to a #1 seed in the NFC. Now, both seasons didn't amount much in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they've gotten a playoff win yet. But maybe this new quarterback can bring them to new heights. Who is Paris going to pick QB-wise? Or maybe not. Maybe not. Caleb Williams to the Paris Steamers. Last year, a rookie with the the Melbourne Monarchs. Didn't really amount to much then. But he's headed to Paris now. And I believe after this next one, they're going to stop with the animations. Until they get to my team, you know, the Virginia Beach Voyagers, which is relocated from the New England Patriots. Anyways, the San Juan Wizards, I'll be honest, kind of a forgettable team. I mean, they've had decent players like A.J. Brown and Jared Goff. They had Geno Smith last year, who wasn't too shabby. They almost picked it up near the end there. But due to a couple ties and tiebreakers and stuff, they missed out on playoffs. For the most part, I mean, they are a competitive team, but there's nothing really like eye-popping about them. They need that eye-popper of a team. So hopefully they can grab an elite player to represent Puerto Rico. Move the controller just so my controller doesn't die. And not a great look. Not a great look. He has been very middling. Also, that's a choice of a suit right there, I'm not gonna lie. That is definitely a choice of a suit. But Jordan Love is now officially a San Juan Wizard. First season, or season 0, was on the Portland Antlers. Nothing too special with them. Last year, he was on the Virginia Beach Voyagers, and I mean, you could already tell I have a natural disdain for Jordan Love in Relocated series just because of that season. So I don't know. Hey, my team is facing him, so that only benefits me. Up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they will relocate to the Memphis Blues. Memphis the first year when they were the Dreadnoughts with Baker, not great. But last year with Dak Prescott, they did pretty damn good. I mean, they made playoffs, but they obviously a wild card exit. So it'll be interesting to see who they go with. Jared Goff is a Memphis Blue. I mean, now you're getting to the point where, yeah, no animations. But you're getting to the point now where, you know, you get these quarterbacks probably didn't do so great. But Jared Goff, probably overall-wise, a lot better than where he was before, I guess. I think. I would hope. But in Relocated, not really great. He was on that San Juan Wizards team in Season 0. And last year, he was on the Sentinels. Nothing really special with the teams that he goes on. Up next is the Melbourne Monarchs. They really had success in their first season with Kirk Cousins. And then last year, they had Caleb Williams, and they were not really successful at all. Actually, as a matter of fact, one of the weaker teams in the NFC. So with this pick 12, I'm still waiting on a team to not pick a QB in the first round. And how much of a mistake would that be? I see. Who's going to represent Australia? It is Brock Purdy. Weirdly enough, he's going to the same team that he's actually currently on. So we have our first instance of real life and in-game player on the same team. But he's on the Melbourne Monarchs in this game. Interesting choice. Last year he was on the Desperados, I believe. Yeah, he was on the Desperados. And, I mean, they started picking it up, but by that point it was already too late. And there is clear-cut, you know, better teams. And I believe the year before he was on Mexico City, so he has yet to prove that he's actually done shit in this league so far. But, again, we never know how the season's going to go. It's all simulated anyways. But the Salt Lake City Elks, they are a very successful franchise. I believe they're like a top 5 franchise in the league right now. Always first year Derek Carr made the AFC Championship game. That didn't pan out. And Jameis Winston probably had statistics-wise, a better season than Salt Lake City had the first year. But a wild card exit to the Brooklyn Dreadnoughts did not do them any favors. Will they change QBs? This time, they do. They do. Salt Lake City now has Jalen Hurts as their QB. Very interesting choice. He was the star QB for the Condors last season, one of the best teams in the league last season. But it kind of evens out with his Anchorage run in Season 0. So, hopefully Salt Lake City knows what they're doing. Next is the Desperados, who desperately need some type of good pick, relying on Brock Purdy, I believe C.J. Stroud the year before that. Just a reminder, I will be live streaming the first 3 rounds, and then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna turn off the stream, and I'm gonna turn the stream back on, and then the stream will continue on with no commentary, all the way up until the very end. I'll probably come in the last 2 rounds, or maybe last round. Who knows? Anyways, let's see who the Desperados are gonna pick. Oh, okay. Well, we get our first pick that's not a quarterback It's a cornerback, a defensive back, and Christian Gonzalez. Now, he is probably one of the best defensive backs in the game, don't get me wrong. But I'm actually truly shocked to see that he's actually the number one, or the first one that's not a QB to get picked. You know, you would think like wide receiver or anything like that. Nope. But I mean, hey, but this will help out in the defensive battle with the Desperados. But up next, the Montreal Mounties. Mounties have been pretty good so far in the whole league. Last year, I mean, they barely, thanks to the ties, they barely made playoffs, but they made it worth it as they made it all the way up to the AFC Championship game, losing to their division rivals, actually, the Brooklyn Dreadnoughts, who will be at the number 20 pick. But the Mounties have overall been good. Who will Sean McDermott lead in his final year as a Mountie? Now that QB, now that the first non-QB pick has happened, oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's almost kind of like a statement. Baker Mayfield is a Montreal Mountie now. Baker Mayfield, in his entire existence in Relocated, has been a Dreadnought. Well, the Mounties are not even going to give them the chance. Baker Mayfield will be going to a different team for the first time. Insane. Made the Super Bowl last year, so it's not a bad pick. But up next is the Canton Tigers. Made the playoffs first year with Malik Willis. Had a controversial little playoff scenario where they didn't sit they did sit their starters, and maybe that affected them in playoffs because they could have got the number 1 seed, but they didn't, and they ended up losing in the wild card. And then last year, very definition of mid, went 8-8-1. But I thought, at least in the beginning half, offensively they were very, very good. So let's see who's going to go to the Hall of Fame town. Micah Parsons, another non-QB. Yeah, once you get that first non-QB, it's all out in the wind now. Micah Parsons, right edge rusher, is a Canton Tiger. Was on the championship team of the Rio River Hogs the first season, and I believe last season. I actually don't remember what team he was on. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways, that doesn't matter. We are on to the next team. My team, my actual hometown, the Virginia Beach Voyagers. Made it the playoffs the first year with Dak Prescott. Unfortunately, first round exit. And then last year with Jordan Love, we don't gotta talk about that. I believe they were the ones that picked Christian Gonzalez first. So will they actually pick a QB that is worth it? Out of all the QBs, I have a feeling who they're gonna pick, and it's gonna be kind of disappointing. But let's see. No, they do not. They do not pick a QB. They rely on the first wide receiver drafted, Jamar Chase. Good. Whoever is throwing him the ball, you can rely on Chase. All right, good pick. Woo! Jamar Chase on my team. Yeah. I believe he was on the He was on the Wizards one year, but I can't remember what he was on last year. Oh, the Steamers. Yeah. He was on the Steamers. Yeah. Okay. One. I will say the problem is they really don't pass it or wide receiver ones in this game. So yeah, I don't know. But anyways, San Antonio Pioneers first season with Mac Jones, not great. Second season with Michael Penix, super great. Their defense was elite. Aiden Hutchinson broke the sack record that year, earning himself the MVP of the season. So let's see if they carry on with that defense or do they get someone actually. All right. Well, there you have it. San Antonio, a defensive heavy team. Because they get the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett. Or he's defensive player in real life, I should say. Wow. Last year was on the Monarchs, but again, didn't really do much. He was on the Dublin Shamrocks, though, and he was really the only shining spot on that team in Season 0. But maybe they have better plans for him in San Antonio. But that's a huge get. That is a huge get. They will be able to keep their identity as a defensive-heavy team. And it's a good replacement to Aiden Hutchinson. But next is the Anchorage Huskies. Had very disappointing back-to-back seasons. Maybe it's an organizational thing. I mean, last year it was very disappointing. They had they had Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, and Garrett Wilson. Top elite offense. And they could never put it together, really offensively or defensively. So it'll be interesting to see who they pick first. All right, well, they pick a defensive back, Patrick Surtain, who was the defensive player of the year last year. I believe he was on the Louisville Thunderbirds. Yeah, that was that defense that was a killer last year. So not necessarily a bad pick. Good thing they're not choosing an elite QB because they tend not to be very good when they're on this team for some reason. But next is the Super Bowl runner-ups last season, the Brooklyn Dreadnoughts. So close to victory. They almost got it with Baker Mayfield, who they won't get it with this year because he's not on the team. But, yep, so close last year. And as the Brooklyn Blues in Season 0 with Aaron Rodgers almost made playoffs. I believe they were the first ones out. The first ones on the outside looking in the playoffs. So, pretty successful organization. Which is weird because they're the Jets. They're relocated from the Jets. They just need to get away from that name. But let's see who they pick. All right. Nick Bosa is officially a Brooklyn Dreadnought. Last year, he was the number 1 overall booster draft pick for the San Diego Condors heading into playoffs. Now, it didn't really amount to much. He did get a huge fumble near the end of the game. But at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. But now we have the Sacramento Nighthawks, who have, regular season-wise, have been a very good team. Even last season, they still got 10 wins, but they choked that division hard. And in the playoffs, they didn't really look anything too special either. Which is crazy because they had Bijan Robinson and Justin Herbert. Yeah, I have no idea. Who will the first set of Purple Birds pick? Seems like everyone's choosing either defensive back or edge rusher. So far, Virginia Beach, the only one to pick a wide receiver so far. I mean, it is definitely one of the best wide receivers in the game right now. So it's no shock, but let's see who the Nighthawks pick. Well, ask and you shall receive for a wide receiver. They get Jetta's Justin Jefferson as a Nighthawk. He goes from one purple team to the next. I forgot what season. Oh yeah, he was on the Golden Eagles, I believe. Oof, not great. But next is the Tokyo Dragons. Made the playoffs both years, but they actually made the NFC Championship game last year, ultimately losing to, the future Super Bowl champs, the OKC Bisons. But the year before that, they had a disappointing. Oh, did they win the wild card? Oh no, they didn't. I don't think they did. They lost to the team that drafted before them. They really could have been a lot better though last year. Literally the first half they looked like the best team, and then they just fell off a cliff after that. And they kind of gave way in the playoffs, but still making it to the NFC Championship game. It's no slouch. So, and this is Brian Dabble's last year as a Tokyo Dragon. So let's see what Japan will pick. Max Crosby, I believe Max Crosby was on the Tokyo Dragons last year, so he will be returning back to Tokyo, just like he's returning back to the Raiders. He was a Baltimore Raven for 2 seconds. Speaking of the Ravens, we go on to their relocated team, the Toronto Snowhawks. First year, they had Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but the rest of the team was non-existent. And they had only, I believe, 6 or 7 wins throughout that entire season. And last year, I believe they went 9-7-1, but that one tie screwed them over against their division rivals, because that allowed them to not get in the playoffs. Sad indeed for the Snowbirds. Who was their quarterback last year? Oh, J.J. McCarthy. Ooh. Well, I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be starting in this game. I mean, he might. There's a possible chance. I mean, we've seen backup QBs start in these seasons. Well, they're not picking a QB. They're picking the Defensive Player of the Year and Relocated last year, Aiden Hutchinson, the sack record breaker. All right, everyone's getting their edge rushers out the way. I mean, it is a key. It is a very important role. It's probably the most important role on the defense. Now we move on to the Redwoods, who in the past couple of years have had a mobile QB. They've had Patrick Mahomes in the first year, which was great for them, and then Justin Fields last year. Funny enough, the team with Justin Fields actually made it farther than the Patrick Mahomes team. But I ultimately think what led to their doom was, they didn't really have, they had a mobile QB, but they also had Christian McCaffrey, so, they were mainly running. They're kind of one-dimensional. So maybe they should focus on someone that's actually passes more, like a Patrick Mahomes. Uses his feet when he knows it's right. But who will the Redwoods pick? Pete Carroll will be coaching this team in his one and only year. Puka Nacua, the third wide receiver pick so far. And Definitely an offensive player of the year, or he nominated for offensive player of the year, as he should. He had a phenomenal season in real life. Last season he was on the St. Louis Sentinels, and he didn't really. I mean, he fell to the case of teams not passing to their wide receiver ones. But he's officially the top receiver in Oakland right now. And now we move on to the Buenos Aires Aviators. For the past 2 years, they've relied on the duo of Will Levis and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, I don't mind. It's the Will Levis part that grinds my gears. And if they make him a starting QB for a 3rd year in a row, I don't know what I'm going to do. I doubt he will be. Didn't play a single... Did he play at all this season? I actually have no... No, I don't think he did. So, praying that he's not starting in this relocated season, because it's had differing success. No, they go with C.D. Lamb. C.D. Lamb last year on the Mounties. He actually did get his fair share of targets and catches. Ultimately, that led them to the AFC Championship game. Next up, the Columbus Caps. First year, offensively, great team, but couldn't get enough wins to make a difference. And last season sucked. And Derek Carr was their QB, and that was his last season. Obviously retiring from football, so he won't be in the games any further. But Columbus Cavs, I mean, who have their rivals picked? The Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, and Jared Goff. So I mean, you might have a leg up on the Blues, but that's some strong competition on your other 2 rivals. So let's see who they're going to pick to counteract that. We're almost done with the first round already. And obviously we're going to have to go in like the menus for Mexico City, because we'll get to that. Trent McDuffie, defensive back. Okay. Not bad. I mean, listen, he's an elite defensive back. Is that possibly the best choice right now? I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, what's going to happen with Mexico City is that they'll make the pick, but it'll go so fast that you won't even see it. So we'll just have to go into like one of like these menus over here. Oh, but anyways, the St. Louis Sentinels are up next. The season 0 runner-ups in the Super Bowl, unfortunately, had that they had that 14-game win streak, which we'll never see in AI simulated games ever again, and unfortunately couldn't pull it out in the Super Bowl. And last year kind of had a disappointing season with great offensive power, but it was really their defense that showed up. But let's see where they go at the number 27 overall pick. Jackson Smith Njigba. Very interesting. Very interesting. I believe he is the offensive player of the year in real life. So good on them. Good on them. Next up, we have the Super Bowl champions, your current reigning Super Bowl champions, the Oklahoma City Bisons. I mean, we don't even have to tell them about last year. You guys all saw it. Season 0, very different story. Very disappointing. I believe they only got 6 wins with Russell Wilson at the helm. But with Jane Daniels, they were able to make it to the promised land. Can they do it again for a second straight year in a row? If they pick who I think they're going to pick. I thought this was going to be who I thought Virginia Beach was going to pick. But it could very well be this team. And again, even though they're picking later this round, they're going to pick earlier in the next one. But they're going to have all that time to wait until the very end of the next round for their pick. That's how snake style works. All right. Oklahoma City pick Will Anderson Jr. Woo! Not a bad pick from your current champions. Not a bad pick. Who was their edge rushers last year? I believe it was Madden BK. I have the championship roster on my notes somewhere. Let me look at that real quick. Yeah, Madden BK and Kalijah Cansey. Very interesting. All right, we have my homeboys, the worst franchise in the Relocated League, the Dublin Shamrocks. I mean, a 2-win season and a 5-win season with the likes of Matthew Stafford and James Cook. Like, when will it end? Can it end this year? The Dublin Shamrocks, they need a break, for God's sakes. Give this team a break. How in 2 years in a row are they one of the worst teams again? All right, they rely on a defensive back in the first round, Derek Stingley Jr. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's really any other QBs that are really, elite. You're probably going to be, right now, like, you got your pick of the litter of the great QBs. Derek Stingley Jr. is not a bad pick, but it'll be interesting to see who, the rest of the team's pick. It's really, you can really tell, like, in these fantasy drafts, the first half of the round is obviously like QBs, but then once you get down to the bottom half, they're all just choosing weapons, offensively and defensively. But next is the Condors, who was arguably the best team last season, with people like Jalen Hurts, DJ Moore, Derrick Henry, but unfortunately lost in the divisional round to the Mounties in an upset. And the year before that, they had Kyler Murray, and they lost in the divisional round again to their rivals, the Elks. So let's see who they're going to rely on this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown. For all of Relocated, he has been a Salt Lake City Elk. And now he is no more. He is gone to his rival, the San Diego Condor. That's kind of funny. That's happened. It's already happened. Baker Mayfield goes to his rival team, and Amon-Ra goes to his rival team. That's wild. Last 2 picks of the round, the Orlando Orbits. First year, I find it really funny. The first 2 quarterbacks drafted this year have been drafted by the Orbits in all the seasons of Relocated, and none of them made playoffs. They had a little bit more success with Josh Allen, but in the season 0, they had Joe Burrow and Christian McCaffrey, and they couldn't do anything. Like, Where's the sense? Also, the Orlando Orbits was a very terrible decision-making team. If you remember the Josh Allen point after attempt, that was something. Okay, we have our first defensive lineman, Derek Brown, drafted by the Orlando Orbits. Very interesting. A defensive tackle in the first round. All right. And finally, we have one of the worst franchises as well, going last this round and going first next round. Hopefully we can be able... I'll probably have to pause the draft just to see who they picked. But Mexico City has not been a good team in the past 2 years, relying on Brock Purdy, Season 0, and Kyler Murray in Season 1. But, yeah, no. It's kind of unfortunate that they get this pick in the draft, but it's the nature of the draft. Let's see if we'll actually be able to see who they pick. All right, with the final pick of the first round of the draft. We didn't fucking see. Okay, is there a way we can... Is there a way we could tell? All right, I'm gonna have to pause. Let's go to Mexico City, coached by Liam Cohen. We can't even view the draft board, boy. Oh, there we go. Denzel Ward, defensive back. Trying to go back to the teams. We're trying to go back to my main team. But yeah, Denzel Ward, a defensive back, normally on the Browns. I forgot what team he was on last year, but very solid choice at defense. But just like that, because of the snake style, Jacksonville or Mexico City going again. I believe the Blues were this pick last time, and I believe they picked Dak Prescott as one of these picks. I forgot who they picked in the first round, but there we go. We're one down, 53 more to go. Good thing I have my sweet tea. Oh yeah, we're probably going to do the same thing. So yeah, Mexico City and Austin are going to be the ones where we don't know who most of their picks are going to be, like half their team. Oh! Very interesting pick. Mexico City choose Sam Darnold, the Super Bowl QB that led the Seahawks this year to a championship. Can he lead Mexico City to a championship? All right. Who was he on last year? Oh, last year he was on the Louisville Thunderbirds. And offensively, not really the best. Well, actually, really hard to tell if he would have done good or not because he was injured for probably half the season. So it was really a share job between him and Mason Rudolph. Hopefully he won't be like that when it comes to Jacksonville. Or Mexico City. God damn it. This is the relocated draft, not the actual draft. All right, well, Orlando with their second pick. Trevor Lawrence. He goes from an Austin Armadillo to the Orlando Orbits. Oh, man, all these teams keeping it in the NFC South. They're keeping it down south. Listen, I just realized that we're going to have the same QB matchups. There's at least going to be the same 3 QBs because Trevor Lawrence now in the Orbits. He was an Armadillo. Josh Allen. Oh no, that's it. Josh Allen's in the AFC South. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Don't worry about me. I'm just an idiot. But Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow are in the same division again. And Joe Burrow is in the NFC South for a 3rd straight year. Well, I mean, at least it's nicer weather down there. All right, Condor's second pick is Bo Nix. Man, this is kind of interesting. They're kind of like these picks are kind of rivaling each other. Bo Nix he goes from the best team in the NFC last year to the best team in the AFC last year. Very interesting choice by the Condors. Very interesting indeed. See, it's like we get the elite quarterbacks, then we get all the elite weapons, and then we get the great quarterbacks. But now it's the Dublin Shamrocks. Maybe they can find the QB they're looking for. There's still one QB that has not been picked yet. I'm just going to say the name. Jaden Daniels has not been picked yet. Now, I know they probably decreased his overall by a lot, honestly, because of how this past season went in real life. But he hasn't been picked yet. But also, OKC hasn't picked their QB yet. So will he go there for a 2nd year in a row? No, he will not! The Dublin Shamrocks pick up the Super Bowl. Bro, 2 years in a row. They have gone with the Super Bowl winning QB. 2 years in a row. They went with Matthew Stafford last year after winning with Rio. And now they've gone with Jaden Daniels after winning with OKC. And look who OKC are picking right now. And just like depending on like some of the placements of these teams could have gone to the same team they were on last year. I believe Max Crosby is the only team or the only player so far that has gone to the same team he was on last year. And it's wild because I thought Jane Daniels was like he was like a top 10 pick last year. So the fact that he dropped to round 2, crazy. But the Dublin Shamrocks, you have your QB. Oh man, will they learn? Will this be for the good, the greater good? Who knows? Mm. Fred Warner, the linebacker. That's up. So, yeah, officially they don't call it linebackers anymore. Well, I mean, they are linebackers, but the positions are Sam, Mike, and Will. I looked it up. I believe Sam is like strong side linebacker. Then Mike is basically just like the middle linebacker. And then Will is like the weak side linebacker. But Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers out there, going to OKC. So they're really relying on their defense. Will Anderson and Fred Warner. They're trying to be defensive powerhouses this season, which is crazy because last season they were mainly known for their offense. I mean, their defense was one of the top in the league as well. But still, no QB yet for OKC. Will we get that in the third round? Who knows? Sentinels. I already forgot who they picked in the first one. We'll check at the end. We'll see. Nick Bonito, right edge rusher. Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all. See, this is where I would also, if I had the option, and if EA got off their lazy asses, I would be adjusting the times to these rounds. I wouldn't necessarily make it all like pretty instant, because I'd still like the anticipation. But like, you probably, I just do this round like a minute, and then later you do like, by fours. You do a minute for the start of the draft, then 45 seconds, then 30 seconds. Then when you get to the late ends of the draft, I do 15 seconds. Fuck it. Like Caps with their second pick so far. I'll be honest. I already forgot who they picked. I forgot most of these picks in the first round. I mean, they're all gonna blur together anyways, and I'm not even gonna know most of them. Trey McBride, the first tight end of the draft, and he is going to the Caps. I believe he was on the Orbits 1 year. And then, what was he on the Orbits? I actually don't know. No, he was on the Oilers last year with Joe Burrow. Man, they had one of the best tight ends, and they had one of the best QBs, and they still couldn't do shit? Wild. All right, now we just kind of wait. We just kind of wait till we get to this third round. Yeah, this is definitely where we probably would have less time. It should have less time. All right, Aviator's second pick. Sauce Gardner. All right. It's not Will Levis, so that's fine by me. Oakland Redwoods. Okay, like I'm having so much hate. I don't personally hate the guy, but like, he's been on the Aviators twice in a row, and honestly, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. They made playoffs with. They made the division round the first year with him. Second year, I mean, they were close, kinda, but I mean, they kind of deproved. Like, if they go for him a third year in a row, I mean, first off, if they go for him a third year in a row, and he's absolutely starting because they didn't have a better QB, I am actually going to jump off this bed. I can't be making jokes like that. But I'm gonna jump off this bed into the nice, comfy sheets and pillows because, yeah. I'm gonna lose my shit though. Will Levis gets drafted by the Aviators. No matter what, even if it's a backup at this point, like why? Just why? Anyways, the Redwoods, their second pick. J.C. Horn, defensive back. Okay. Yeah, we're getting into the great, not necessarily elite, but like they're on the cusp. They're on the cusp of being elite. I mean, Trey McBride is an elite tight end, but still. Okay. Toronto Snowhawks. That was a good time to check my text while we're waiting here. All right, Toronto Snowhawks, they picked Jalen Johnson as their defensive back. All right. I should focus on this. All right, Tokyo Dragons. They went with Max Crosby. Will they go with someone like Mark Andrews? Or like Zay Flowers? Kenyon Mitchell. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Sorry. I'm too. I haven't really looked at my text all day, so I'm just kind of catching up. But can you? Yeah, we're getting to the point now in the draft where I mean it's not far in the draft, but Man, I mean, it is kind of taking too. I didn't realize how long these drafts actually were, or at least these first couple rounds. Man, it's really just going to be like defensive backs. We have not seen an offensive lineman yet. So, still holding out hope for. Actually, we haven't even seen a running back yet. So it'll be interesting to see who goes there. I think Mitchell was on the Black Knights last one, so going to his rival again. But Sacramento, they picked Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle. All right, pretty good, pretty good. I believe he's only the second defensive tackle so far. Who was the other one? Derek Brown. Brooklyn Dreadnoughts. Who did they? Oh, Nick Bosa. They Nick Bosa as was their first pick. Is it? Oh! Well, we got the first running back. Wait, is this the first running back of the draft? Or am I completely forgetting about someone? Regardless, I think it's the first running back of the draft. And it's Jahmyr Gibbs to the Brooklyn Dreadnoughts. Replacing Nick Chubb from last year, who actually, it's funny, kind of had a career resurgence in the simulated game. But now, who will Anchorage? Who could Anchorage possibly pick to be good for this team? This pick, Matt. I mean, I personally like the Anchorage Huskies. So mainly because I do have a Husky as well. Defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, all right. I don't really know what to think for these teams. It's kind of like to me, it just feels like when you don't pick a QB early on, you're kind of just getting. I mean, you're just getting lost because at this point, like now you got to settle for a QB that's probably not that high of an overall. Like, who was the last QB picked? Jaden Daniels. What would you say? He's probably like in the 80s. Surprised Bo Nix is not high. I'm really actually surprised Bo Nix wasn't in the first round. But now, like, they're getting all these other, like, the elite players or great players on their offensive defense, but, like, they got to rely on a quarterback. too. Like, he's the one that's mainly going to be handling the ball. And, like, you know, while all these other teams, you know, they're picking Sam Darnold, Jane Daniels, we have homeboys over here, like, picking these types of guys. TJ Watt. Who? God, who was their other edge rusher? God, but he's going to be incredible. He's going to be incredible on the San Antonio Pioneers. Funny, J.J. Watt was a Houston Texan, and now T.J. Watt is on the relocated Houston Texans, San Antonio Pioneers. Oh, but who cares? We got the best team, Virginia Beach. Let's go. Elite Jamar Chase pickup. Huge dub. Let's see what they're going to do. I wish they weren't relocated from the Patriots, but it is what it is. That's how it all cracked up to be. So alright, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up, Voyagers. Virginia Beach, please do not fuck this up. Devin Witherspoon. Okay. Okay. Isn't he a rookie? He might be a rookie. Who knows? There's Mike Vrabel. Yep. There's Witherspoon. That should be a Virginia Beach helmet or a cap right there. But okay, Devon Witherspoon. No QB yet. I'm kind of getting worried. I I really shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, you know, not even the elite QBs have made playoffs yet, or have even, like, you know, gotten to that high spot. I mean, because, like, if you think about it, like, Justin Herbert wasn't even the max overall. Not even Matthew Stafford, and those two were the Super Bowl contenders. Jane Daniels and Baker Mayfield. I mean, they got to find that sweet spot. That sweet spot of they're not totally elite, but they're still good enough. And so, like, the overall is just kind of like, you know, even out or some shit like that. Anyways, Canton Tigers choosing Tyreek Hill. I believe it was a Nighthawk first, then a Black Knight second. So now he's heading to Canton to be their top wide receiver. Good on them. Good on them. Mounties, we are 50 picks in. 50 draft picks in. And I don't even know how many. Let me look this up. How many total draft picks are there in a 54 round 32 team draft? $1,728. We're not even a tenth of a way there yet. Oh, well, anyways, Mounties, Tristan Wirfs, a left tackle. Okay. Oh, that's our first offensive lineman. Okay. All right. We're getting somewhere. Desperado's up next. Again, if you're watching and you're still confused, even if you're watching on the VOD, I have a cheat sheet up on the Twitter, or the Relocated Twitter has a cheat sheet up. It tells you by division and whatever team, like for example, like the Patriots. It will say the NFL team, and then right next to it will be the Relocated team, and that's how you're going to determine who's going where, essentially. So like right now, as you can see, that's the Cardinals. But if you go to the little cheat sheet up here, you'll see the you'll see something. You'll see the Desperado. Well, oh, okay, yeah, I can hear myself. I hope you're used to the batteries dying like that, because that's the screen you're going to be seeing after I leave. Most likely. Oh, and they picked Jared Verse. Okay, not bad. Not bad pick for them. I don't even remember what team he was on last year. I can't believe Dublin picked 2 Super Bowl winners in a row. That's funny as fuck. Oh, my controller batteries are low. Oh, well, good. Gives me a chance to fucking change them while I'm going to be away for these 24 hours. How long are we actually going on the stream right now? An hour and a half. Okay. An hour and a half, and we're a little over, like one and a, like we're basically at the halfway. We're just over the halfway point of the first 3 rounds. Oh, I didn't even see Kansas City pick. Jesus Christ. Or Salt Lake City. Greg Russo. Okay. Or Greg Rougeau. However you say it. He's on the Elks right now. Dang, I'm watching the flag football highlights, and they do not look great. Or at least for Team USA. AJ Terrell Jr. for the Melbourne Monarchs. Okay, they got their best defensive core right there. I think he was the best one for the Tokyo Dragons last season. What team is he on? Like in IRL? The Falcons. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Next, Memphis Blues. Oh, can I actually see it now? Oh, I can see it now. Look at that. Oh, look, it even tells you who got drafted. Denzel, 100 million for 5 years. Interesting. Anyways, the Blues. Vita Vea. Another defensive tackle. Let's see, what is this? This is the preseason schedule. Oh yeah, well see, now that we're partial way in, I can actually just start announcing. So, once we do this draft, this coming up Saturday, we will do the preseason. So preseason are just, we're going to do 3 games, and they're all going to be 3-minute quarter games. So really not anything. And what the rules are for preseason is that we usually do a preseason game for the Super Bowl winners, or the teams that make the Super Bowl. So we're going to see a preseason game from the Bisons, and we're going to see a preseason game from the Dreadnoughts. However, each preseason game is going to be, they have to be different teams. So we can't just watch 2 preseason games for the Bisons, or whoever they even face. So, after this pick, I'll show you what that means. After San Juan picks their second pick, Brian Burns, right edge rusher. Okay. But yes, if we look at the schedule here, we have the first week of preseason games, and we prefer to do the Super Bowl teams at home. So I believe the second, whatever the second week is, that's going to be the Bison's game, and the last preseason game will be the Brooklyn Dreadnoughts at home. But the first game is going to be up to my discretion. It'll be whatever game it is that is not any of the teams that have been picked for the preseason games. So that first week's up to my discretion. And I don't know if you know how preseason works in Madden, but basically it's like starters only play the first quarter the first week, then they play the first half the second week, and then they play 3 quarters the third week. Not like that any matters, or not like any of that matters, because it's 3-minute quarters anyway. I have seen injuries happen, but it's not that big of a deal. But that'll be all just in one video. All those games will be in one video. Devonta Smith for the Paris Steamers. All right. Is that Caleb Williams? I mean, we can see league transactions. We can. Oh yeah, we can see. Yeah, we can see how based off the teams. So that was no. Oh, this the Commanders. Yep, Devonta Smith and Caleb Williams so far. You got your wide receiver and quarterback duo already. Omaha. Let's see who they take. And Josh Hines Allen, the other Josh Allen. All right. So I believe what we're gonna do after. I think we did this last year. We're gonna look at the teams through the league transaction stuff, just to see like who is the first 3 picks for each ones, and they're basically gonna be the face of each of these teams. And hopefully that will waste enough time. I mean, we'll get our thoughts on that before I officially sign off, end the stream, and then start back up, and then just go completely AFK until the draft is done, or at least until the last 2 rounds. I want to say last 2 rounds, but I'm probably going to do the last round. Or, I mean, really, it's up to me. I'll join. Really, I'll join whenever I feel like it, near the end. All right, Louisville. Who you got? Roquan Smith. I can't remember what team he was on last season, but I do know he was on the Canton Tigers team in season 0. All right, Vancouver. Let's see what you got. I mean, really, this is probably the most dead round, as like as you can tell, we're not really talking about shit. But next round, once they start coming out with the picks, we'll look through the top 3. Yeah, Danielle Hunter. Good option. Good option. All right, London Black Knights is up to bat. Wrong sport. Up to pick their second pick. Oh, I forgot to finish the schedule. Yeah, the schedule. So yeah, next week we're gonna do the 3 preseason games. That'll be our like preseason week, and then the week after that, we will start the official Relocated season. Week 1, on Saturday, we'll have a special 2-game presentation Saturday. As the kickoff will be between, I mean, they're both divisional games. First one being the London Black Knights taking on the Dublin Shamrocks in Dublin. And then we actually have a special game in Rio, or in Sao Paulo, I should say. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Not featuring the Rio Riverhawks. It's actually featuring 2 of the, I mean, the AFC West is a hard-hitting division, but it will feature the likes of the Salt Lake City Elks taking on the San Diego Condors, and that will take place in Brazil. So that'll be interesting. Nico Collins on the Black Knights. I believe he was an Oiler last season with Joe Burrow. Again, top wide receiver with Joe Burrow, and yet this team still can't win shit. Who's his QB? Lamar Jackson. Okay, so we got Lamar and Nico. Okay. Okay. I'm not complaining about that. Next is the Antlers. But yeah, we'll have it's the Black Knights versus the Shamrocks, and the Elks versus the Condors on Saturday. Then we're going to do our normal schedule of having half the games on Sunday and then half the games on Monday. And unless times change between then and now, I plan on streaming them at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Eastern. So that is when those games will be happening. We'll do a whole stream, and I won't be commentating those games. I will be commentating kickoff, or both of those kickoff games. But as far as the rest of the games, I will leave that to the game commentary. Drake London, I believe he was on the Steamers. He was actually, he was the second wide receiver on the Steamers. So their wide receiver core actually was pretty stacked. So it kind of makes sense why they made it so far into the season. All right, Oilers, who you got? Wait, hold on. Was it Drake London actually on the Antlers at one point? I thought he might have been on season 0. Well, regardless. And the Oilers pick Madubuike. Nnamdi Madubuike. Also on the Oklahoma City Bison's roster that won the Super Bowl. I believe he was the 3rd pick for the Bisons. So he actually upgraded to round 2. And he's going to be an Oiler. Now we go to Rio de Janeiro with Josh Allen, who will be joining the QB MVP. We got two more picks in this first round. Come on, come on, come on. And real pick, Malik. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That looks pretty damn stacked to me for Rio. Malik Neighbors and Josh Allen. Whew. Unbelievable. What a time to be alive. Anyways, the first overall pick, Austin Armadillos, they picked Joe Burrow, and now they get the last pick this one. Or the last pick this time, first pick next time. And now that'll be it from what I will see of them. And then after this pick, every pick will judge the first 3 picks of every team, see how well they did, see if there's any blaring holes, blaring or glaring, whatever. All right, we gotta go to transactions. Zay Flowers. So Joe Burrow and Zay Flowers. It doesn't sound like the Armadillos are fucking around. They're like, we need to start winning. And Zay Flowers, you know, he ain't no slouch. I mean, I don't. I mean, do I think he's wide receiver 1? That's a hard debate. I'll be honest, because he's definitely shown flashes and significant, like, you know, ability to be a wide receiver 1. But then I guarantee you, if they actually got an elite wide receiver for the Ravens, he's easily going to be it's going to be so noticeable that he's a wide receiver 2. But I don't hate him as wide receiver 1 for the Ravens. So him being a wide receiver 1 for the Armadillos makes all the sense in the world. But they get another pick right here, and their third pick is Penei Sewell. So Austin have gone full offense. Let's go here. Let's go to the Falcons. That will be the relocated team of them. So they went with Joe Burrow at QB, Zay Flowers at wide receiver, and then they signed Penei Sewell at right tackle. So they're going full offense. They're getting probably one of the best players to protect Joe Burrow. So it makes perfect sense. Real life, he definitely needs an offensive line. But no defensive players. I don't know how well that would fare with. I just want to point out that every Super Bowl team, the 2 Super Bowl teams, they have at least picked one defensive player. I believe Micah Parsons was the first overall for Rio in season 0, if I'm not mistaken. I barely remember that. It's probably that's the case. The only thing I really remember from the season 0 draft is that the Redwoods were the first overall, and they picked Patrick Mahomes. So Brock Bowers, ooh, oh my God, that team. That'd be the Colts. Yeah, Rio not messing around either. They want their Super Bowl again. They have Josh Allen, Malik Neighbors, and Brock Bowers. Oh, definitely. I mean, there it is. Like, there's your there's your receiving court. No really running backs. I've only seen one running back, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. It's a very interesting call. But now, oh, how could I forget? Oh, look at the pick. 6-7. 6-7. 6-7. Okay, we're done. Anyways, the Oilers with pick 6-7. Okay. first overall pick, or their first pick in the first round was the schedule. So Garrett Wilson. I mean, I don't know. I had, with how Anchorage used him last season, I have no. I don't really. It's not that he's not a bad wide receiver. I just don't really have too much faith in how he's going to get used. But I totally forgot. So who was that? They're the Panthers. So Drake May, Matabike. So they did get their defensive guy, and they got their wide receiver. So they do got their wide receiver, quarterback combo, their wombo combo, so to speak. With Drake May and Garrett Wilson. They also got a key defensive guy in Matabike, also a former champion. But let's see who's going to be on the Antlers with Patty Mahomes. It is going to be Bijan Robinson. Oh, God. Am I having flashbacks to last year? Please tell me it's not. Oh, my God, I am having flashbacks. But, wow. They picked 2 people from Atlanta. That's crazy. But it is kind of looking like the same as last year. They went with Patrick Mahomes, and they went with an elite running back, possibly the best running back that year, and a pretty decent wide receiver 1. So they're going full offensive too, but like, are the Antlers just a green husky? Who the fuck knows? London Black Knights. Lamar Jackson and Nico Collins, I believe, has been drafted so far by them. Will they get a halfback? Will they get a running back? I will find it so funny if this is Derrick Henry. Because that quarterback and running back duo has actually happened. It was Toronto Snowhawks in season 0. And it wasn't really too great, but it was good for the most part. No, they're not going with that. They go for a defensive guy. Smart choice. Smart choice. Chris Jones. Not a bad pick for them at all. Keep damn forgetting. So the Cowboys is my actual favorite team. Yep, so Lamar Jackson, Nico Collins, and Chris Jones. So they got their wide receiver quarterback wombo combo, plus they got a great defensive tackle. So kind of doing what the Oilers are doing right now. I mean, really, that should be the key. But Bisons did get 2 defensive guys last year. They got their QB, and then they got, in their minds, the 2 best defensive guys for them. Lumberjacks. I want to see what you guys got. You know who I haven't seen get picked yet? Which I'm not surprised. Tua Tugboat Viagra, as the AI Joe Biden would say. He's most likely he's either going to be starting, he's on the cusp of being a backup somewhere. Well, Vancouver Lumberjacks choose Charvarius Ward Sr., a defensive back. So let's go look at them. Let's see who they pick so far. So they have Matthew Stafford, Danielle Hunter, and Charvarius Ward. So they're going the Bison's approach. They got their elite QB, and they got two tremendous defensive players in Danielle Hunter and Charvarius Ward. So Lumberjacks might not be messing around either. Actually, it's not a bad triple threat at all. But now let's see what the Thunderbirds have cooked up. Are they cooking or are they burning the kitchen? Right, their third pick is Zach Bond, a will linebacker. Only, I believe, 2 linebackers so far have been picked. And Zach Bond's one of the... Wait, who is this? I totally didn't even see who... Oh, Packers. So they have Justin Herbert, Roquan Smith, and Zach Bond, excuse me. So they went with their QB, and then they signed 2 linebackers. You know what that looks like to me? That looks like how the Rio Riverhawks kind of did stuff. I mean, granted, they didn't draft 2 linebackers, but their linebacker threat was one of the best. I mean, they had Zach Bond, but this is back in 2024, so they had Zach Bond, Overshone, Devin Bush, and who else? Dre Greenlaw. Yeah, so they're going with that approach, which I don't necessarily hate, but now we're seeing the teams that are doing both 2 defensive guys, as opposed to doing all offense like some of these players have. Kamari Lassiter for the Omaha Bulls. So let's go to see who the Bulls have picked so far. The Vikings. So Dak Prescott, Josh Hines Allen, and Kamari Lassiter. So again, not a bad triple threat there at all. You know, I see the vision for most of these teams is that they want to get their QB done out the way. Because once you have your starting QB, that's going to be your starting QB, and you want the best possible one at that. He's the one that's going to handle the ball on offense. But now focus on your defense as early as you can. Get those players as early as you can, so that way your defense is not, you know, a laughingstock. Paris Steamers, legacy-wise, the best team in franchise, well, in this franchise, in the Relocated era franchise, whatever words, can't say them. Who have Paris picked as their QB? Well, we're about to see in 5 seconds. It is... All right, left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So they went with 2 offense, 1 defense. Caleb Williams and Devonta Smith. That's their wombo combo. And then they got... Oh, no, that's not a defensive guy. Fuck. That's an offensive lineman. Andrew Thomas, huh? Very interesting. Signed 1 year, $15 million contract. But he's in the 3rd round? I mean, sure. I guess. Interesting decision by the Steelers. Now, I do think Caleb Williams has improved. Devontae Smith is definitely he's a wide receiver too, but he definitely can be a wide receiver one for most of the teams. I mean, I keep thinking about that tier list that guy sent out. I forgot who it was specifically. I mean, at this point, it could be so many people, but it was just a tier list of who Devontae Smith could be a wide receiver one for, and most of the teams he could be. And I honestly, I fully believe that. Terry McLaurin, yes. Okay. He is not on the Aviators, thank God. So that breaks up his legacy. He is no longer an Aviator. He's been an Aviator this entire time and Relocated. But now, he is a Wizard, Larry. You're a fucking wizard, Gary. Hello. Okay. It wouldn't be a stream without my batteries actually dying. But let's go to Wizards real quick before we go to that, because I do see who the Memphis Blues pick, George Pickens. But let's knock these out. So there'd be the Dolphins. So these are the Wizards, having Jordan Love, Brian Burns, and Terry McLaurin. Not terrible. Obviously, I had bad blood for Jordan Love, but like they're evenly distributing, so that's fine. Steelers. So this would be the Memphis Blues. Jared Goff, Vita Vea, and George Pickens. So Jared Goff and George Pickens for the Blues. Very, very interesting combo. I'll be interested to see how the Blues do. But George Pickens, he's a wide receiver too in the actual league, but he's definitely wide receiver one material. All right, Melbourne. I believe that's Brock Purdy. Will they pick a wide receiver up? No, they will go with a defensive tackle in Jalen Carter. Alright, who do they have? They went with their QB, one offense, 2 defense. All right, that seems pretty even, you know. Brock Purdy, not a bad. In all retrospect, Brock Purdy, not a bad QB. Well, I mean, he's elite in my eyes in the actual NFL. But they got their defensive back and they got their defensive tackle. That's really going to do wonders for them. Now, Salt Lake City. Be interested to see what happens here. I can't look at who well, to be fair, I don't remember. There's some teams that I just completely forgot their picks. But we are almost halfway through the round. Once we get past Mexico City, and we see who they picked. We will be pausing the draft. Well, I mean, we'll let the timer run down, but we'll pause the draft up until right before Jacksonville picks again or Mexico City picks again. Very interesting. Trey Hendrickson. And that's going to be 2 years in a row that Hendrickson is a Salt Lake City Elk. So let's look at who the Elks have picked so far. Jalen Hurts, Greg Rousseau and Trey Hendrickson coming after you on defense. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good for the Salt Lake Elks to have. Desperados. I don't think the Desperados have a QB yet. Which, you know, works out oh so well for teams that haven't yet. It may get to a point where teams start getting like high rated QBs, but they're just the backups. Oh, well, there you go. Wait, so CJ Stroud going back to being a Desperado. He was a Desperado in Season 0, but now he's back in Season 2. Took a 1-year break on the Antlers and made playoffs. Will this team be any different than the one he played for 2 years ago? I don't know. Let's see who he's got so far. So they got CJ Stroud, Christian Gonzalez, and Jared Verse. I mean, not a bad defensive core. And CJ Stroud, I mean, he ain't the best, but he definitely is not the worst. I mean, he's a great QB. He's a great QB. But he has had a tendency to shit the bed sometimes. But now, the Mounties. I'm the Mountie. I'm handsome. I'm brave. I'm strong. I'm the Mountie. And I enforce the law. If anyone gets that reference, for anyone watching in the future, you are the GOAT. Anyways, Mountie's third pick. And then once the Canton Tigers pick, that will be halfway through this round. Alex Highsmith, okay. So if we go to the Bills, who are going to be the Mounties. QB Baker Mayfield, Tristan Wirfs at the as an offensive lineman to protect him, and Alex Highsmith. Okay, went with 2 offensive guys, but one to protect the other one. Canton Tigers up next. I don't think the Canton Tigers. I don't think they have a QB yet. All right, well, I spoke too soon. Bryce Young. Wait a minute. Wasn't he the QB? Yeah, he was the QB last season. So the Tigers are drafting Bryce Young again for 2 years in a row being their QB. They must have confidence in him. They're just going to surround him with a different team than he was on last year. I believe this is the first QB that's actually on the same team as they were last year. But this time, he's got Micah Parsons on the defense and Tyreek Hill as his main wide receiver. So he's definitely going to have better options. But now, Virginia Beach finished strong. Finished strong team. I'm not gonna lie, I do have to take a shit after this. So I'm gonna see who Virginia Beach picks, and we'll talk about that real quick, and then I'm going to go, and then we'll discuss all the picks that have been picked so far. Quinnen Williams as a defensive tackle. A champion for Rio in Season 0. Yes. All right, Virginia Beach kind of cooking. Thank God. Thank heavens. Let's go to them real quick. So they have Jamar Chase, Devin Witherspoon, Quinnen Williams. Unfortunately, they're the first team that we've covered that don't have a QB. So that's nice. Anyways, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. And we'll just, all the picks that will be picked during that time, we will discuss. And it'll probably be like near the end. So, yeah, I'll be back. I am back. What have I missed? Okay. Ooh, I'm seeing. Ooh, okay. Let me turn that down. So we left off on Virginia Beach, and now it's the Aviators' turn. So picks will happen while we're doing this, but I don't give a fuck. So let's go to the Texans, aka the Pioneers. So they will have TJ Watt. They literally have both defensive players of the years back to back in real life as both of their edge rushers. And they have right guard Quinn Miners. That's going to be pretty damn good. They don't have a QB, but honestly, they probably won't eat. I mean, it's probably going to be the same thing as last year. This Texas team might be better than last year, defensively at least. So that's very, very, very interesting. Oh, the first safety gets signed. Jesse Bates. He was on Rio when they won. Oops, I'm on the coaches. Whoops. So let's look at how the Huskies are doing. We gotta go to Lions. So they got Patrick Surtain, Jeffrey Simmons, and Jesse Bates. So they're fully relying on defense. They got a safety, a defensive back, and a defensive tackle. Very interesting. They're going the opposite of what they did last year, signing all defensive players this time instead of all offensive players. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Defense is I feel like defense is the harder position than offense. But you get a good. Well, actually, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But it is if you get a very good defense, like they say, defense wins championships. You know. Next is the Dreadnoughts. Actually, I want to see this pick. Okay, there's your next safety. The Dreadnoughts, or the Jets, picking A.J. Brown. Okay, so they have Nick Bosa, Jahmyr Gibbs, and A.J. Brown. So they have their star running back and wide receiver, but they don't have their QB yet. But they do have their one of the best edge rushers in the game as well. Okay. George Kittle, tight end. He's on the Sacramento Nighthawks. He's now officially on the other Purple Bird team. He was on the Condors in Season 0. But now he is on the Nighthawks in Season 2. Last year, I think he was on the Bulls. Wasn't he? I believe he was. So this is Rams. So they've got Justin Jefferson, Dexter Lawrence, and George Kittle. So, 2 good receiving pieces, and Dexter Lawrence being defensive tackle also really helps. But no QB. Creed Humphrey, he was the booster pick for the OKC Bisons, and clearly it helped out a lot because they ended up winning. But now he's on the Tokyo Dragons, so that's going to be on the Giants. So the Giants so far have signed Max Crosby, Kenyon Mitchell, and Creed Humphrey. Very interesting 2 choices right there, or 3 choices. Very interesting indeed. Rashawn Slater to the Ravens, to his actual team in real life, but to the Toronto Snowhawks. So now Snowhawks have Aiden Hutchinson, Jalen Johnson, and Rashawn Slater. Okay, not bad. No QB and no really weapons. No offensive weapons. Now Cameron Hayward, defensive tackle for the Redwoods. So we go to So this is the Redwoods. Puka Nakua, J.C. Horn, Cameron Haywood. 1 offense, 2 defense. Not bad. Still no QB though. So we're probably looking at the bottom barrel of QBs here. Jonathan Taylor though on the Aviators. So they have CeeDee Lamb, Sauce Gardner, and Jonathan Taylor. No QB, but they got their running back and their wide receiver ready to go. Aviators might be good this year. Who knows? Who knows? Just don't pick Will Levis, please. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Antoine Whitfield Jr., he is going to be on the Caps. So if we go to the Bengals here, let's see who they've got so far in the first 3 rounds. Trent McDuffie, Trey McBride, and Antoine Winfield. So the only offensive piece they've gotten so far is Trey McBride, tight end. One of the best tight ends in the game, but still just a tight end. Meanwhile, they have a defensive back and a free safety. So the secondary looking pretty strong for the Caps, which honestly is probably what they need because they got shut out plenty of times last season. Kyle Hamilton on the on the St. Louis Sentinels. Wasn't he on the Sentinels one season? I can't remember. That's the coaches again. God damn it. So this is the Bears. So they have Njigba as their main wide receiver. Then they got an edge rusher in Nick Benito and strong safety Kyle Hamilton. Defensively looks pretty good, and they got their core. They got their main wide receiver. Holy shit! I just saw double spit. We'll get to that. Xavier McKinney on the OKC Bisons on the championship team. Let's look at them. See how they're looking. So they got Will Anderson. Okay, so they got one for every type of position on defense. They got Will Anderson Jr., Fred Warner, and Xavier McKinney. All right, so not really focused on offense so far yet. And it's crazy because Kellen Moore is an offensive mind. So the fact that he's not even drafting an offense, he's like, I could coach them up, no issues. And then getting caught up, we are on the Dublin Shamrocks, who chose Jalen Waddle, a wide receiver. So we got our Wombo combo. If we remember what team they're fucking relocated from, the Eagles. So they signed Derek Stingley as their first contract, but then they signed Jaden Daniels and Jalen Waddle. So they got their Wombo combo, and they got a defensive back as their first round pick. And now the Condors, their third pick is going to be DJ Reed Jr. Defensive player. So let's go to the Chargers, a.k.a. the Condors. They have Amon-Ra... Oh. Well, I like how they have 2 Detroit players. That's nice. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Bo Nix. There's your Wombo combo. DJ Reed Jr. as a good defensive back. That looks pretty strong. Looks pretty strong so far. All right, we got 2 more picks until we are going to end this part of the stream where I'm commentating, and then we'll start up a new one where it's not me commentating. I will say, I mean, Jalen Waddle, I don't think is a. To be honest, I don't think he's a true wide receiver 1. But I mean, he ain't a bad option. I believe he led the league in receiving, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't Mark Andrews, I think it was him. He was definitely in the top 3 in receiving yards or whatever. Yeah, I think he was for the Nighthawks. All right, Orlando Orbits, Jamison Williams, JMO. He was on the Canton Tigers last year. So funny enough, Bryce Young. Who did oh, okay. Who just picked the Bucks? Okay, yeah. So we got Derek Brown, Trevor Lawrence, and Jamison Williams. That could be a good Wombo combo. It's not by a Wombo combo at all. Derek Brown, their first overall pick. I believe he's in their minds, the highest defensive tackle. All right, we have our final pick of the round, Jacksonville, or Mexico City. This is Mexico City Golden Eagles pick. So the final one we're going to see, at least I'll get to see for this stream. And then we're going to keep the stream running. Yeah, just a reminder, this is going to be 54 rounds, so it will be a 24-hour live stream, so don't feel obligated to watch the entire stream. Please. Otherwise, I know you're crazy. All right, Mexico City pick. We can't see because they went to the next screen, but Jonathan Grenard is the final pick in the third round, and he's going to be on Mexico City. So they got Denzel Ward, Sam Darnold, and Grenard. So they got their QB as well as two good defensive pieces. Not a bad start from them. So we're gonna let this time run out all the way until, like, I would say 5 seconds, and then we're probably gonna end the stream right there. But thank you all for coming. We've seen the first 3 rounds. It's shaping up to be a very different Relocated. I mean, that's the whole point, right? We start over every single year. But we got some new pieces. We got some new storylines. You know, we got some rivals stealing some veteran players from other teams. It's great. It's great. Just wait till this gets to 5 seconds and then we're good. Which one looks the most promising? I mean, I don't know. Rio looks pretty damn strong. I mean, they don't have defense yet, but I mean, with Josh Allen, Malik Neighbors, and Brock Bowers, like, come on, man. Like, that's the one that stood out to me the most. Oh, there falls. All right. So what? Now I will end the stream because this will be a separate video on the channel, and then the rest is just going to be the straight live stream. So, you know. The full length, just add on like a little over 2.5 hours to that, and you'll get the full length of this draft. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me. I'm going to go to bed, and I probably won't. Well, I'm definitely not going to see you guys until tomorrow near the end of this draft, and after that we'll see every single team finalized, and we'll see what our teams are matching up to be this season in Relocated. But until then, I'm gonna go. But I'm going to end the stream for a second, but we're going to continue it right back up with no commentary for the rest of the time. And I hope you like the screen of dead controller, because that's what it's going to be. But you can still see the picks. I'm just letting you know. You can still see the picks. But I will see you guys in probably a little over 24 hours. And yeah. That's how we're gonna end it. Enjoy the rest of the draft, guys.